Welcome to the Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. This is stage 5 of the 25 Tour de France, brought to you by Baker Tilly. Big shout out there to Baker Tilly for sponsoring every stage of the Butterfly Effect for the 25 Tour de France. Now let's get into today's individual time trial at 33 kilometers and mostly flat throughout today's stage. This is an ideal stage that we have all known and all talked about, ideal for Remco Evenepoel to be able to put some time back into Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard, who are ahead of him on the general classification. Tadej Pogacar is basically the virtual race leader here at the Tour de France, tied with Mathieu van der Poel, who's wearing the race leader's yellow jersey after yesterday's stage 4 magnificent finish that Tadej Pogacar won. Mathieu van der Poel went second and Jonas Vingegaard went third, but Remco Evenepoel dropped a little time on those guys because he couldn't follow over the final category climb, and then of course found his way back on coming into the finish. Almeida was a bit too strong up the 900-meter climb up to the finish. Blew off Remco Evenepoel, so he lost a little bit of time, and now he's 58 seconds down on the general classification favorite of Tadej Pogacar. So today's stage is a time for Remco Evenepoel to stop messing around here at the Tour de France and gain some time back on Jonas Vingegaard and Tadej Pogacar and try to put some time into Primoz Roglic. If we go back into that stage 1, that stage changed everything when we're talking about being able to put Remco Evenepoel into the race leader's yellow jersey here on stage 5. You got to believe the week before the Tour de France began, especially after Dauphiné finished, that pseudo quick-step thought stage 5 circled on the calendar. We can win stage 5 and we can have the race leader's yellow jersey with Remco Evenepoel. But after the mishap of stage 1, when the peloton split from Jonas Vingegaard blowing it up the road, we see that it was pseudo quick-step that missed the split along with Primoz Roglic back there. But Remco Evenepoel slipped off on the left side of the road into the grass there, and surely that would have cost some time. And then Remco Evenepoel and Primoz Roglic, to my disbelief, I never saw him ride in the front, chasing that front group of 40 riders up there being led by UAE team members Tadej Pogacar and Jonas Vingegaard from Visma. So, starting this stage, when the cameras come on proper, well, the whole peloton gets the time to shine here at the Tour de France Stage 5 because of the individual time trial, but we'll highlight that it's Ivan Romeo that crosses the line 15 seconds faster with a time of 37 minutes and 44 seconds. All right, Ivan Romeo's in the hot seat. Next guy we're going to highlight is going to be Luke Plapp. He's leaving the ramp in the Aussie National Championship jersey. He'll drop down the ramp, and he's blazing times as he's coming through the first time check, 10 seconds up. He's coming through the second time check, 9 seconds up. Goes through the third time check at 24 kilometers, and he's 9 seconds up still. But then when he crosses the line, well, he drops and loses 15 seconds there to Ivan Romeo, who keeps himself into the hot seat. Next rider up that we're going to focus on is already out on the course, and that's Affini from Visma. Now, this is the Euro Time Trial champion too, so we got all kinds of special jerseys out there, and Affini's throwing down on the pedals. He comes through the time checks, and he's still a little bit behind the time there of Luke Plapp, but when he crosses the finish line, he's going to be up 29 seconds on Ivan Romeo with a time of 37:15. So Affini's in the hot seat. Now, he's Visma, so you know right now that when we're talking Jonas Vingegaard and Jorgensen back there, that of course he would have been out there setting some times, so the director sportifs can have Jonas Vingegaard a little bit prepared on how fast he wants to go or has to go on today's stage. And when we go back and look at the finish of Affini, well, he averaged 53 kilometers an hour, so it's a legit time. When I describe the course to you guys, when they leave the ramp, it's totally like a corral there for all of the riders, and then they're going to go up and through a bunch of twists and turns. Then they go out, start hitting some of the time checks, a little bit of farmland area, and then the finish of today's stage is going to be corralled off with massive fans bookending both ends of today's Stage 5 Tour de France. It's going to be a magnificent individual time trial and a classic one for the Tour de France here on Stage 5. Okay, now we start getting into some of the favorites. Primoz Roglic. We see Primoz Roglic up on the ramp. He's going to give a little prayer before he leaves the ramp. And then the Slovenian for Bora Hansgrohe is going to drop down the ramp and start his Stage 5 here at the Tour de France. Now, this is one of the highlighted riders, one of the 4 favorites here of the general classification to be able to win the Tour de France, but Primoz Roglic has been suffering through the first 4 stages. I already told you he missed the split on stage 1, suffered a lot on yesterday's stage 4 of the Tour de France, and when we start looking at his time out there, when he comes through the time checks, he's 49 seconds down on the time of Affini, so Primoz Roglic is not having a good time. as he's out on the course. Some of the other favorites like Remco Evenepoel, Jonas Vingegaard up on the trainer. We see Tadej Pogacar's out on the trainer and warming up and giving some fist bumps when he's coming up to the line. But when we go back there to look at Primoz Roglic, when he crosses the finish line, he's 46 seconds down with a time of 38:01. This will put him in the top 10 at the moment, but we got the favorites that are leaving the ramp back there because Remco Evenepoel's flying when he leaves the ramp. As we see the Belgian rider for Soudal Quickstep, the hot-handed favorite to win today's stage, as he's coming round in the first bend, he's sprinting out of the bends, dropping into the TT position once he gets out on the straightaways. But look at him when he's coming near the fans. He's buzzing the fans on the right side as they're all jumping back out of the way, going over to the left side, buzzing them. The Soudal Quickstep rider's looking fantastic early in today's race. Now, when he comes through the first time check, he's up on the time of Affini, but down on the time of Luke Plaps, who set the fastest first and second time checks. But if he's up on Affini, then you know at this moment that Remco Evenepoel's flying out there. When he comes up to the next time check, he's 8 seconds behind third place right now, but the wind is getting stronger throughout the stage, and it's going to be a tailwind into the finish. So Remco Evenepoel's got some possibilities to make up some time. He comes into the third time check, 11 seconds fastest time right now. So you know Remco Evenepoel looks like he has a shot at winning today's stage 5 here of the Tour de France. While Remco Evenepoel was out there, some of the other favorites, of course, are starting to leave the ramp because it's Jonas Vingegaard from Visma Lease bike that's got to leave the ramp first as he takes off third place on the general classification right now. Immediately, he starts showing time loss to Remco Evenepoel of about 14 seconds. With Jonas out there, the next rider to leave the ramp, Tadej Pogacar. Tadej Pogacar is wearing the KOM jersey. This kid is flying on today's race. When he takes off from the ramp, we see him sprinting, goes through the first corner, drops into the TT position, and now it's time to find out if Tadej Pogacar can win a 4th Tour de France and protect the race leader's yellow jersey that he doesn't actually wear at this moment because he's tied, of course, with Mathieu van der Poel. Tadej Pogacar is out there and he's gaining time on everyone right now. For like Remco Evenepoel, he's up about 2 seconds and gaining time on Jonas Vingegaard at this moment. Behind him, it's time for the race leader's yellow jersey to leave the ramp as Mathieu van der Poel drops down the ramp. Can he protect the race leader's yellow jersey? It's a tall order right now when he's even on time of Tadej Pogacar. Jonas Vingegaard's out on the course dropping time, but Remco Evenepoel's out on the course making time up right now as he's blazing on the saddle right now in his TT position. Remco Evenepoel's holding nothing back as he's coming into the final 2 kilometers. You see him coming through the corners, and as his pedal stroke is rolling through these corners even, as Remco Evenepoel looks like he's sharpened his bike handling skills here for the 25 Tour de France while he's pedaling through the corners and accelerating and sprinting out of every one of them. He comes into the finish with about 600 meters to go. The kid's doing 60 kilometers an hour. As he comes out of the final couple hundred meters, it's showing green for Remco Evenepoel, and once the Belgian rider crosses the finish line, he's up 33 seconds on the time of Affini for 36:42 time to put himself in the hot seat. Now we go back and we know right now that Jonas Vingegaard's having a spectacularly bad stage 5 here of the Tour de France. He's about a minute down, minute and 20 seconds down on the time there of Remco Evenepoel as he's coming in with 2 kilometers to go. So right now, Jonas Vingegaard has to give everything he can into the finish as he's trying to find power wherever he can. He hasn't looked fantastic throughout today's stage 5, and when he comes across the line, guys, he's losing a minute and 21 seconds to Remco Evenepoel's time here on stage 5. So Jonas Vingegaard's going to drop positions on the general classification, and Remco Evenepoel's surely going to move himself up into at least second, because when we go back and look at Tadej Pogacar here, the virtual race leader when the stage started, well, Tadej Pogacar's been flying. He's dropped a little bit of time there to Remco Evenepoel of about 17 seconds at the third time check, but when he comes across the line, he's 16 seconds down on Remco Evenepoel to put himself in the second place. And, of course, to wrap up the race leader's yellow jersey here, because we know Mathieu van der Poel's been dropping time left, right, and center back there, as the rider from Albacete de Koenig's been having a hard stage 5 here, too, as he's lost over a minute through the time checks. And when he crosses the line, he's 1 minute and 44 seconds down from the time of Remco Evenepoel. Now, when it's all said and done, of course, Tadej Pogacar is in the race leader's yellow jersey here on stage 5, but he's also in the KOM jersey, and he's also in the green points jersey right here. So he has every jersey he can have at the Tour de France, and everything's looking spectacular for UAE team members Tadej Pogacar, with the exception that, of course, Remco Evenepoel won the stage. The Belgian rider from Soudal Quickstep certainly is happy to win today's stage, move himself up in the second place of the general classification. Oh my, what a change from when we're talking about from stage 1 where the peloton split in half. Does he get the race leader's yellow jersey here for Soudal Quickstep? No. But since that stage 1, they won the sprint stage, of course, with Tim Miller, and now a second stage here at the Tour de France with Soudal Quickstep's Remco Evenepoel, and second up on the general classification. But when we start looking at the later stages into tomorrow's race, how does today's race evolve and affect tomorrow's race? Well, normally I would have told you guys tomorrow is hands down going to be a battle against the 4 favorites on the general classification. Remco Evenepoel, Tadej Pogacar in the race leader's yellow jersey, Jonas Vingegaard, who's dropped to 5th on the general classification now, and Primoz Roglic. But the problem is Primoz Roglic hasn't looked spectacular, so his team won't defend and try to win tomorrow's stage 6 here. When we look at Jonas Vingegaard, Visma Leasebike could be thinking, well, okay, we want a softer stage tomorrow because we want to see if Jonas Vingegaard can recover from today's race. Because to be clear, today's stage 5, the individual time trial for Jonas Vingegaard, was the first bad stage that I have ever seen out of Jonas Vingegaard at the Tour de France. This was not just a day off. This was a bad day like we saw from Tadej Pogacar at Dauphiné at the individual time trial there. These are the same kind of conditions that Jonas Vingegaard is having here that Tadej Pogacar had at Dauphiné. So this is the first bad day at the Tour de France in multiple years for Jonas Vingegaard. I've never seen it. So tomorrow you got to believe that Visma Leasebike should be thinking, okay, we don't want to bring anything back tomorrow. We want a calm stage that Jonas Vingegaard can get through and try to recover after this stage 5 of the Tour de France. Unless, of course, Visma Leasebike, Jonas Vingegaard says in tomorrow's race, I feel great from kilometer 0. Otherwise, you got to believe that tomorrow's stage has a legitimate shot of a breakaway going the distance, especially if it's a big break. Because at this moment, if Visma Leasebike don't have Jonas Vingegaard and Wout van Aert hasn't been shining, that's 2 riders in first page 1 that won't want to ride on tomorrow's stage 6 here at the Tour de France to protect or try to win the stage. You know Primoz Roglic, Bora Hansgrohe are not going to defend for Primoz Roglic to try to win the stage. You know for sure when we look at Remco Evenepoel, well, they're not going to ride. They don't have the team with Soudal Quickstep. When you look at UAE team members, Tadej Pogacar, would he like to win tomorrow's stage 6? Sure, but they're wearing the race leader's yellow jersey. And Tadej Pogacar won yesterday's stage 4 of the Tour de France. So I can't believe that we'll see UAE team members stretch their neck out there to get their head cut off on tomorrow's stage 6, trying to help Tadej Pogacar win the stage. So they most likely won't ride unless, of course, Alpecin de Koenig's Mathieu van der Poel's team wants to ride to make it another chance at a stage victory for Mathieu van der Poel. But the problem is when you look at tomorrow's stage, we're talking about near 200 kilometers long and lumpy and bumpy and classic style throughout the stage. So this is not like stage 4 where it was flat coming into the classic bumps there with 5 climbs with 30 kilometers to go. Defending tomorrow's stage 6 is a tall order. So if I'm any team out there that's not UAE team members or Alpecin de Koenig, I'm planning that there could be a breakaway that goes the distance in tomorrow's stage 6. Even though I told you guys the week before the Tour de France that this is a classic stage for the 6 best riders in the world to battle out to try to win tomorrow's stage. When you're talking about Wout van Aert out of action, Jonas Vingegaard out of action, Primoz Roglic out of action, Remco Evenepoel's team's not going to want to do the work. Alpecin de Koenig already have won a stage. They might not want to do that much work in tomorrow's stage 6. Would I think that we see them try? I think we absolutely see Alpecin de Koenig try to bring it into the finish, but it's a much harder stage than we saw in the past. So if it's a big breakaway, I don't know if Alpecin de Koenig can do it on their own. And then you have to ask yourself, will UAE team members help Alpecin de Koenig? Because if you're any other rider in the Tour de France, the question you have to ask yourself, if you come to the finish of tomorrow's classic stage 6 of the Tour de France, Can you beat Tadej Pogacar? And no one here except for Matthew van der Poel can answer yes on that question right now. So Albacete de Koenig will try to ride tomorrow, but can they do it? That's the big question. If it's a big break, it could go the whole distance. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, because tomorrow, stage 6, if it's a break, we're going to have 2 races in one. We'll see the break battling out for the stage victory, and then we'll see a GC battle in the back. We could see those guys battling on the final climbs. We may see a rider like Kevin Vauquelin or Kea Samsic. They might want to do something. Kevin Vauquelin's had a spectacular individual time trial today, and he's moved up to 3rd on the general classification. Romain Gregoire from FDJ. Those 2 teams could possibly want to do some kind of work on the front of the peloton with Albacete de Koenig. But again, it goes back to the question that I just brought up to you guys. Can you beat Tadej Pogacar? So if I'm FDJ and Kea Samsic, I'd rather have somebody in the break than try to go toe-to-toe with Tadej Pogacar into tomorrow's stage 6 of the Tour de France. So like and subscribe. With so much racing and so many possibilities, you know I'm going to bring it to you on the Butterfly Effect. See you guys for the next stage of the 25 Tour de France real soon.